Welcome to the Save the Property call for LaLa Gardens. And I'm gonna let Tina go ahead and start it off.
Thanks everybody for coming together around, we're doing historic things, by the way. I'm just gonna say it. Every day I'm inspired by what we're doing. So I'm really happy that we're gonna start talking about nuts and bolts and how to best serve each other and getting this done. Maybe we should just open up with like a little brief. What are we grateful for today, this day after a beautiful full strawberry moon on my birthday? I am 62 years old today.
Wow. Happy birthday.
Thank you. So gratitude. Yeah, maybe I'll start us off just because it is. I'm very grateful that I get to arrive at my 62nd year with my health. My mother's still alive, my father's still alive, in a beautiful place with people who have similar visions and are willing to share visions with each other and find out how we can work together and support each other and be gardens together. That's what I'm grateful for. How about you, Neil?
I am grateful for getting to do what I love. And I think that should not be taken for granted. And yes, happy birthday. And I pass it on to Leah.
Wow, I'm grateful for people like you, all the people in this regenerative space who are so excited and willing to work together and create this new future that none of us really know how it's going to work, what it's going to look like, but we're excited about it. And that gives me hope and joy every day.
Pass it
on. Okay, Ari.
Hello, everyone. I am grateful for just another day, and I will pass it on to Brandon.
Well, I'm grateful often for challenges that expand me, and this one is, and we're all learning some good stuff and how to do some, like Tina said, some unique, wonderful, groundbreaking kind of things. And if everybody would like to join in, I don't know if you've had one sung to you, but you deserve several. So, ready? Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tina.
Happy birthday to you. All right, that was pretty good, even though it was a electronic mess.
We will come together through the waves. All right, so we are here to talk about the financial aspects of this project. And I would love an update from you, Leah and Brandon, and I hope you guys had a great vacation as well and that it wasn't cut short for any weird reason, but.
Okay, I'll go first then, Brandon can. Yeah, I'm talking to several mortgage brokers and lenders, and my income situation is a little unique. So they're always kind of like, how do we do this? So it's just, it's a process, but it is moving forward. So that's good. And I don't want to share too much since this is going to be shared widely. But it is progressing. So we'll see how it goes. I've got lenders telling me, best case scenario, it'll be kind of a conventional loan with low mortgage rate. Worst case scenario, it'll be a little bit of a different setup, but maybe higher rate, like 6 to 8%, which is not ideal, but it could still work that way. And then Brandon can give us an update on the easy money lenders.
All right, I sent out a text, I think it was yesterday, but I have 3 meetings set for Friday and Saturday. There's a possibility I get to talk with one of them this afternoon, but my initial explanations to them have now, instead of just 1 interested, I have 3 that are interested in talking. So I'll be able to get some more details to them, get some, more or better terms, I think, just because their excitement is more than just the average. Sounds good, makes money, let me in. But So that's where we're at with that. I've got very little work on the budget for after we get this out of the current financing situation. And I think that I'm just going to have to send out a lot of questions, specific and directed questions to each individual, so that I can start putting more budget together. And I know also if I'm there on site and get to take a look around, I'll be able to budget more as far as what needs to be done to get to that second phase and make the place as appealing as possible. And you know, that kind of general $50,000 improvements that's been thrown out, just want to nail that down and get it more accurate. So that's where I'm at. Yeah. One more thing. I have planned to speak tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow, double check, with two of the current lenders to see if I can get them out to the end of July. One is already fine with the end of July. The limiting factor is the one that started the foreclosure, but I think since I've got a payoff letter now, I think I can extend it and just it'll add a few bucks, nothing major, but it'll stop their processing of foreclosure. Yeah.
Aryabhata, would you like to bring anything to the conversation before I ask a couple of questions that personally came up for me? Hi, Letty. Anyone want to chip in? Letty, too?
I don't have anything significant to add other than a conversation with Shared Capital, which is an organization that just works with cooperatives, and it takes some time to arrive to a decision, 5 to 6 weeks to arrive to a decision, and 3 to 4 weeks further to close, actually, if it's a real estate dealing. So
Okay. So if we want to incorporate that, we should probably start moving on, taking a look at it in various ways of coming up with a proposal or something, it sounds like. Yes. I haven't had a look at it intimately quite yet.
All right, that loan wouldn't apply to the LLC. It would apply to once the LLC bought out the property, and then from there.
that is correct. They don't work with LLC. They only work with cooperatives, exclusively with cooperatives. But if the route of going cooperative is the future, maybe if we put it into motion, they do work with startup co-ops. They do work with them as long as you inspire, like the cooperative and their decision-making process, their leadership and how they come about inspires them the trust and confidence.
Yeah, I think on a structural form, that would just be very much like where we're at right now, getting to the second phase. So it would be where we get to going to the cooperative. So we'd write up a contract, have a working and operating system going so that they would recognize it, just like you say, make it as appealing as it can be to match their parameters, as long as it does resonate. And then they would be just like any lender, but they would be a specialized lender looking at that package and say, yep, we'll lend to this. So they would look at financing. So yeah, does that sound right, Ari?
Yes, I haven't worked with them in the past, but this is an organization that I have known for years, that they work with cooperatives, and it's something to just consider as one of the financing entities that just work exclusively with cooperatives, and they are very flexible in how they assess what the cooperative is wishing to do. So they are very flexible in how they work with cooperatives compared to traditional lenders.
What's the name of it again?
Shared Capital Cooperative. And the link is in the thread on the Discord.
I would really love to hear from Letty, and hi there, and I hope you're doing well. We opened with gratitude if you feel like you want to do that. But I'm interested in sort of a road, like a pathway through the agreements, because and maybe even to talk about what kind of contracts or agreements that we're going to be kind of needing along different steps, including through the transition. I know there were some covenants kind of talk, and then there's the working operations agreement now that we're to satisfy potential co-op lenders, and then whatever else you see as necessary. It might be nice to kind of create, start creating a library or some kind of a listing of what the agreements we're going to need.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. Yes, I was wondering that as well. It's like to speed this up or to have like kind of a structure, because we have this structure in place, but maybe if we can just transfer this to paper and to say, okay, we first have this kind of, as Brandon said, is if we have this contract in place, it's going to speed up the process of the operations with our lenders. So I guess we need to do this in parallel as we are just speaking with the lenders. So I would suggest like having this first, the covenant is almost there, so it's drafted already. So I feel like we sign up at the same time that we sign this first agreement, which is going to be the lenders for the LLC, right? So we decide this first contract and we sign the covenant, which is like we enter this operation because we want to after that transfer the property to the LCA, and this is going to be like our covenant. We agree to have this kind of structure in place because this is later the second step, setting up the LCA. So in the first one is going to be like, okay, we set this up, this LLC, and we agree to this kind of first step. But at the same time, we sign up the covenant, which is like we decide that this is the operation we are going to bring into place, the LLC. But at the same time, we sign the covenant saying, okay, we do this. At the same time, we are making this LCA process, right? So the covenant is ready. And I was waiting for these kind of inputs from the lenders and from ourselves to really know what are the options, or what are the specific interest rate, and how do we set up this first agreement, which is the LLC, right? And with the options that these lenders are providing us with, and with our inputs, right? Because we talk about we need to be clear about the first steps, which is like, how do we set up this first equity or this first remuneration? I think we have these inputs, but yes, Brandon says like, we need to flesh that out a little bit more to have the LLC in place and say, okay, this is what we agree in the first step. And the covenant is we do this, and then we set up the LLC, which is kind of different, but it has these correlations, because the first things we agree in the LLC, they are going to transfer into the LCA in a way, because it's the same budget, right? So we have this in mind already. But I feel like this is going to speed up ourselves once we, put this into paper, right? So the covenant is there. I was waiting for these inputs for the LLC.
Beautiful. I do have a question about the LLC, because this kind of approach had been suggested before. And one of the things that this guy, Eric, can't remember his last name right now. Anyway, he had the impression, or he was telling me that it would not be advisable for me to be on the LLC that is buying the property, that's something that the lender's not really necessarily going to like, that it sends a red flag. So I'm wondering if anyone has any opinions about that or knows anything about that. And then if that's the case, then Letty, just keeping in mind how, like, whatever that needs to be, so that at least I'm still woven into the pattern once we arrive at the LCA piece of it. So it might just make it look a little different if I'm not able to be on the LLC, but then I can be on the LCA, Those are details I don't know.
Do you have a trusted friend who's not got any association with anything there whatsoever? Then you just, okay. Well, we can create that, and it doesn't even have to be someone you know. We go ahead and put them on as a member of the LLC, as a beneficiary.
Yeah, I have that. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no, and when we put them on as they're representing you, and that's backed up with a contract that's paid for and in your safe and in your possession, and you can enact that anytime you wish. And they know that you will do that as soon as the closing occurs, and then you just take their place and your name becomes their spot.
That's beautiful. Brandon, thank you. I'm glad there's a solution. I was thinking it might be a little bit of a hiccup, so that's brilliant.
Yeah. And it's
Okay.
all signed and notarized ahead of time. There's no reversing it, no changing minds. It's all a done deal. You just have possession of it, and the timing of placing your name is at your choice. And
Okay.
I'd say immediately after the closing,
Letty, is
within
that
5
something
minutes.
that's in your wheelhouse?
You mean giving like power of attorney, anything, power of legitimacy to a person, from Tina to this person, and this person is the legitimate, yes, like convener of Tina's will in a way? Like a power of attorney, but for a physical person, right?
It's not even that depth. They just receive a share position on a piece of paper, but they already have assigned that share position to Tina. Only Tina holds that document until it's time to enact it. Simplifies the whole process.
Okay.
All they're doing
Yeah.
is lending
Thank
their
you.
name for a matter of hours, days, weeks, whatever it turns out to be. That's all. There's
Elegant.
no encumbrance upon them. There's no liability because the paperwork's already there. You literally just, it's done
Yeah, it's a
whenever
private
Tina
document.
decides.
Gorgeous. I'm just going to keep asking questions. So if anybody, if I'm overriding or anything, just tell me to take a pause or something, but just in the name of efficiency, I keep having these questions come up. So for Leah, would it be helpful for me to find or to have a local realtor here that could help navigate like lenders for you, or even whatever you need? And in that question, like, do we need to have a realtor help schedule like an assessment or an appraisal or any of those sorts of things?
No, anything a realtor can do, we can do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yay. Good.
Yeah, so we can get like the Colorado real estate contract online. It's all, public knowledge. And we've bought and sold enough homes that we know how to fill these out pretty easily. So yeah.
Okay. That's beautiful. Oh, okay. Brandon, about the 50K improvements, just something for the community here to kind of think about. I'm becoming increasingly aware of how precarious our entire global economic system is at the moment, and food shortages coming up and all of this. I'm wondering if we want to bring in, like, if we could do season extension here as a upgrade, then we're extending the value in terms of its food production and its viability as a source for food within my immediate area. So that might be something we want to consider, is just like, what are the improvements we're making and how are they actually doing things like extending the ability to grow food?
Yeah. So just so you know, I went ahead and Leah scheduled a flight for me to Phoenix on June 27th. And then as of right now, acting on our conversation the other day, I'm planning to drive to Colorado to see you and hopefully work out to where the family can join me in Colorado or Albuquerque, somewhere along the way. When I'm there, I'll be able to thoroughly answer those questions. I'll be asking the questions of my own, like, when does the season change? When is it necessary to have your controlled space? And so we're talking about a Wallapini, greenhouses, hoop houses, whatever we can do there. But we want to do best bang for the buck, and obviously timing is of the essence. So I think I'll be able to thoroughly answer those questions in about 3 weeks when I'm there. I will tell you that the idea of the Wallapini is very appealing. I've done several and they're not hard, and forgive me for using this term. Well, let's make the term more appealing. Unskilled, untrained labor is welcome to participate in that. It's easy to direct that kind of a structure build. And I'll modify that plan to make it much more regenerative and much more local, much more sustainable than the plan that I looked at it. There's just materials in there that we can substitute with better materials. The renovation of structures that are there, that will also be something I look at, because if we're going to have a $50,000 budget, it's one thing to have somebody saying, I think $50,000 would bring in double the rent capacity. But if we look at it and then somebody says we only have 50,000, then we have to triage and decide where's the best bang for the buck, what's going to get the best return to make the place more appealing than it is now, even though it's vastly appealing. But if you know what I mean, then you know what I mean. So we'll get there very soon. Okay.
I do. Yeah, and I don't want to get too far out of the scope of the conversation about finances, because I had a couple downloads today about because there was an interesting conversation during the civics meeting yesterday where someone really brought up, we have this we're interesting, right? We have this garden that's in process. We have a group of people who are coming together who are principle based within regenerative systems. So a lot of, but the actual sort of governance of the property, like who's doing the cooking, who's doing the gardening, who's doing the everyday stuff, that hasn't really been talked about or looked into at all. And included in that, I think, would be the conversation about how we're bringing in income from rents. And so eventually I'd like to have a meeting where we're really diving a little deeply into what it would be like to play the opposite game, for instance, instead of rents, where we're actually sort of paying home economists to do this job, and part of them being paid is to create structures that end up supporting the ecosystem through regenerative economy production. And we could have a certified kitchen here. So maybe somebody who's coming in to do the gardening is also coming in with CSA design or some kind of design aspect that allows us to create income from the function of that rather than just straight from rents. So that I'd like to go deep on that at some point in time, or even have a shared document where we can start sharing our ideas about what that might look like.
Yes, I feel that is part of the bylaws of the cooperative, because this is like the way members and investors are gonna purchase and have value in the cooperative, right? So it's like you're selling and buying goods and services, and that's like the way the cooperative is established. So it's like these contract of agreements within the members and the cooperative in a way. So we have to look that up in a way that is like members entering into agreements with the cooperative, and that is the value flow within the members and the cooperative. So those are like little branches in the cooperative, and we set that up with working groups or circles. This is a kitchen, this is the garden. So it's like, real how members are established in this cooperative, and that has to be part of the articles of association as well. So that is something we have to go through completely.
Yeah.
So that is gonna be how the cooperative is governed by the members too.
Yeah.
And I would like to add that I believe, Tina, you're going to, whether you really want to or not, be the lead on that. You're intimately familiar with that property, its capacities, it's what it's done in the past, what you hope to see it do, what it's willing to support. And what we will do as a group is hear what you say and then add our intellect as to what we also know can be supported and what we know can't be. And then we'll also divide things out to what can be done soon and what we're looking at next year, 2 years, 5 years, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Gorgeous. And then guided by Leah's beautiful ability to put these things into some kind of a articulate, check, whatever it is that you're going to do with this, but helping people to make choices and do the stepping into regenerative lifestyle. I think I'm just really excited to work with you and on just see what we can create together. Yeah. So anything else anybody want to bring forward about anything that we touched on?
I have a general question for everyone, when do we plan to file for the cooperative? Is something we want to wait a little bit after the LLC is done? We want to do it at the same time, kind of, or how do you feel about this?
To me, it's always ASAP, but I don't know, that's just me. But what I don't know, is there any reason why we can't do it sooner than later?
Simply being pragmatic, it would be one of those steps that we all want to learn, we all want to do. So it makes sense to do it sooner rather than later. But the pragmatic part is, does that distract from what we're trying to get done immediately? Is it something, if we put it out 30 days and have some time between now and then to plan for it, is it more effective and more efficient? And does it happen at a time when everything else is already done that would allow it to be necessary? So that's just pragmatic.
I'm replying to my same question because I feel that's the way to go. But the thing is, like, we need to draft the articles of association for the cooperative, to file the cooperative, not the bylaws, but the main articles. So maybe that's something we want to think through at the same time, because it's like these correlations. So I would love to have this more like time frame to do this, but it's like, okay, like the main body of the cooperative needs to be there in a way. So yeah, that's also my answer. I really want us to focus on the first step, that is setting up the LLC, having this equity done, and this first contract, that is the LLC, the transfer of ownership happening at the same time with the share possession and the covenant for the LCA. But it's true that we really need also to have this LCA, only the articles of association, but it's like the main body. So maybe, yeah, it's like we're time pressure as well if we want to do this at the same time. Yeah.
So articles are the first kind of structuring then of the co-op, and then it moves into bylaws after that? What's okay. All right.
You know, just to form it, it can be incredibly general and vague, but of course, to have this be successful, we're going to have to really make some decisions about the structure and everything.
Yeah.
What decisions do we need to make that are far-reaching with filing the LCA now? Are there any? Are there any decisions that we make in filing the LCA now that we can reverse once we do it?
There's the agent part, but that can be transferred. That's all I know.
Yeah, I mean, everything can be changed with paperwork, so it's not a big deal, really.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, you know, if you're doing a 501c3, it's a 6-month process, so you might as well just get done, start as soon as you can, so that when you're, because you don't want to just be waiting for that designation to be able to do anything. So if it's just a technical, task, what's limiting completing that technical task just to get it started?
Nothing really. I mean, like every time we've created a business, like it can be just, like I said, incredibly simple and vague. And then once we create the more formal and complicated, like articles and bylaws, you just file those again with the state, and you have to pay a fee again. So the fees are not huge, you know, but you know, it's money still. So if that's a concern for us, we should think about that.
It's probably like $250, $300, I would guess.
Less even, usually, like somewhere between 50 and 100, around there.
Do you know what it is, Letty, for the Colorado LCA?
For the filing, yes. I don't know if it's a state-based. I read somewhere like 250, but maybe it was another state. I don't know. I think the filing is more expensive than filing an amendment or like the bylaws. It's like the filing for the LCA. I don't know if it's 200 or 250. Yeah. But maybe in another state. I didn't check that.
Yeah. Before Ari, I just want to make one note. It'll make my job as far as community organizing and getting people to buy into this so much easier if I just say the LCA process has actually begun versus, oh yeah, we'll get to it. You know, that doesn't sound good to people in general. But Ari.
Yeah.
There must be a minimum number of people needed for that LCA. Does anyone know that? Because they will have to file those names at the beginning to form it.
Yeah, can you see the screen? Let me just put up
2 members for the association, or maybe even only 2 members. 2 members.
Amazing.
And membership can be amended at any time. And that would be part of the fees of becoming a member. And that's kind of what Leo was talking about. When you do an amendment or a membership change, it's minimal, $50, $70, $100, depending on the municipality. But those are just paperwork that's sent in to just update everything.
Okay.
I mean, and also, you know, when we put it on the timeline, when we document this process and we said this date started here, this date started there, I'm like, is there any reason why we don't want to file that LCA? Like,
I'll
now?
play devil's advocate and throw it out there again, back to pragmatic critical path,
Mhm.
throwing out worst case scenario, nothing actually gets to that point, and you've put time and effort into creating an LCA that's now you're going to have to go and file to dissolve. But that's not what we are anticipating. It's just something that needs to be addressed, because that's the only reason I can think of, other than one other, splitting focus. But if Neil, you're saying it's worth splitting some focus, or putting it time and effort into that because it complements what else is doing, it offsets that, and it's worth it.
I mean, the fact that I already looked at the application, there's no time needed to be put into filing that. It just needs to be filed. It's like filing your articles of incorporation. It's just a document you just file and that's it. We don't need a call on that. We just need one person saying, a group saying, let's do it, and you can just do it. It's just a matter of when do we do it.
I have something to offer. And I like Celeste only because I've been working within Regen Gardens. And it seems to me like I'm hearing that we might want to have some kind of like, the first word that came to mind was repositories, so that we could see the research that's being done, see a listing of see where the timeline is, see what are the tasks that need to be due. But that's all DHO dashboard stuff that could be handled within something like the Celesta dashboard that we can have right now for us, and then we could put these items in sort of like a task or quest kind of a situation, so that we can get to it as we get to it. So I don't know if anyone has any feelings about that or suggestions, but I would love to explore Celesta Labs for a DAO tool at this point. Maybe.
Yeah, I feel that's the most appropriate for our model, because it's NFT based, and yeah, members will have. Well, I will start with my concerns and worries, and then I will say what I love about this kind of dashboard. As I was talking to Dan, remember that I said, okay, I want the NFT to have a unique identity, because we need to identify our members for the cooperative, so we don't have duplicates. What's the matter with NFTs, that sometimes you can have like several wallets and more than one person. So we need to identify with this single ID. But this is like the NFT membership. It is not like the whole microbes thing. So my concern is, anything we do, I don't mind if it's Harmony based, it's Ethereum or Celeste or anything, I don't mind. It's like, we need to know who this person is really. And we need to have like one wallet for the membership, only for the membership, because we can do collections for NFTs and that we don't need to know who they are. But for the cooperative, we need to have this identity. So I feel like the Celeste dashboard can give us that, because we can just match the email, the name, and the wallet for the membership. Maybe we have collectibles after that, and we don't need the identity, and we don't mind. But for the LCA, like, you can invest into this micro because you are part of the LCA, and we know who you are, right? So that's my thing. It's like, we really need that. And for the dashboard, yes, Celeste, I like that. I like that one.
Okay.
And like this idea of having these several steps in the launches of the NFTs, that's right too, because we can just cap that, because maybe we don't have the capacity from the very beginning to say, okay, this is a public sale, because we enter into this security thing as well. So we set up the LCA, those are our members, and in that capacity, they can just invest in the property and in this cooperative. Because if not, we are just launching a security as well. So that's like the steps I want to cover. Like, this is the LCA, that's the way we are fundraising, right? We're investing into the LCA and not into these kind of microbes, which it can be deemed a security if you are not part of the cooperative.
They're separate, they're alike, but separate. I don't see managing the NFTs through Celeste at all. I'm just suggesting that we manage it, that we have something like that as an LCA, but that's separate. It's, this is the more IRL, we're actually dealing with a real property and a real group of people, and it's not.
Yes, like the identity email member.
Tina, let's talk about that with Letty and I, separate from this call. I
Okay.
think there's, But going back to the decision, because I don't think we made a decision on that as far as the LCA is concerned, filing that now.
I'm just wondering
Um,
where we're gonna conglomerate all of this information.
Anyway, going back to the LCA, because we didn't make a decision on that. And I think it's crucial we decide whether to delay or do it now and just have an agreement on that.
Okay.
So the reason to not do it would be assuming, or the scenario where the property goes to bank, gets lost to the banks. That's the only.
Maybe
to
we can
me-
include a disclaimer in our covenant, like yes, waiver of risk or something like that, a disclaimer inside the covenant to say, okay, if this happens, we know what is our plan B for this kind of, yes, sharing the equity or all the work we have been done to this point. And it really doesn't matter if the cooperative is like, it's not like a big filing or big amount.
Yeah.
So in this covenant, we set up this disclaimer or waiver of risk. Oh, this is like the worst case scenario, and we cover that there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if the cooperative is there or not, because we have the plan B scenario.
Well, I mean, that solves an even bigger issue. The smaller one was just losing the filing fee, right? So let's just,
Yeah.
so is that worth, to me, losing the filing fee is worth getting the whole community on board that this is now cooperative. Versus like, well, let's just save the property first, transfer to LLC. Then once we do all that, we'll form a cooperative. I said, well, I'm not going to contribute anything then until we know it's a cooperative. So it's a bit of a catch-22.
Is the filing fee less than $500?
Yeah,
Yes.
certainly.
Then I think it's worth it. I think that's something that we'll learn from, and also the advertising potential, the attractiveness of the whole thing. Multiple benefits outweigh the one, perceived negative. So I think going forward with it is definitely, I'd say thumbs up.
Cool.
So,
Do we want a voting screen where all our thumbs are present?
well, any objections? I don't think there are any objections.
Nope, I don't see any. Cool.
That's the,
Can anyone think of any other potential reasons why it just wouldn't be something to do now rather than later?
nope.
Good.
No, just having the main articles, and that can be done like super easy, and not the bylaws. So, we have
So,
super
Letty,
basic.
how soon can we, assuming we have the fee, how soon can we file that?
Whenever we want,
Okay,
like
so
tomorrow if we want.
is anyone opposed to filing this by the end of the week?
Did we decide on a name? Is it just
Yes,
gonna
the
be
name,
LaLa Gardens
yeah.
again?
Address in the event.
LaLa Gardens Cooperative?
That's fine.
Okay, well, let's aim for by Friday. Maybe people think about it overnight to make sure that, you have time to digest that, but then we aim to file it by the end of the week. Okay, that's huge.
This is a birthday present.
That's a
for us.
birthday
Like,
present. I was
Happy
gonna
birthday.
This is a birthday present.
say, It is a birthday present. It's the ever sharing birthday present. Mhm, mhm.
Is there anything else? The topic I wanted to discuss later is also how this Celesta relates to the Haifa platform. But again, that's not something that Brendan and Leah need to
Yeah,
discuss in this call.
and they're compatible.
So Ari, you expressed concerns about like if you contributing $50,000 to the LLC, what are there any other concerns that you need addressed before continuing that path? Because I know you mentioned the last time I talked to you, you mentioned how significant contribution that would be for you.
That is true. So over here, that is where once Brandon and Leah have some conversation going forward with potential lenders, and how they're planning to and how much they're planning to raise when it comes to the down payments. So that will make it clear like what is expected of me. But I would just like to make it clear, 50,000 is the max I have in savings. That is like you gotta understand. Like if 6 months down, I need to have reserves also. So just want to keep it out there, just leave it out there. And secondly, I would really like that LCA to be formed and really moving along really fast with the shared capital or whatever that financing is, so that we can have this transition period as fast as possible, not something 6 months or 1 year down. I would really like that capital turn around very fast. So
Oh,
that is
good.
my expectation.
There's another vote in favor. So great.
Mhm. So I'm hearing 6 months, and I'm hearing LCA being put into motion quickly, and that it's up to 50K, realizing that's your entire savings, and that you're interested in seeing us really look at the shared capital model within the LCA. Did I hear you well?
Just to clarify, shared capital is not a model as much as is a financier for
Okay.
cooperatives. So it's more like when we are transitioning from
Okay.
LLC to be purchased by the cooperative itself will have to find a financier. We'll have to work with the financier in convincing them. And that is where they do work with up to $1 million, and real estate is involved. So they may work with whatever that is. So that has to be set in motion. And that has to be really fast. That's what I am saying, not 6 months. I don't want to wait for 6 months, because then it comes around $2,000 each month and a lot of other expenses that we have to consider and plan for.
Okay. So it sounds like in combination of exploring the LCA and getting that done, we need to really look at the shared capital cooperative lender that you're talking about, and then look at how the financials are set up within the co-op.
That is correct, as one of the options. But like whatever other Semble group or whatever that is, just get that thing moving as well. So we
Okay.
are not waiting over there as well.
Okay.
Oh, just to provide, just to make it complete, Letty, is there anything that's undecided that you need to fill out the LCA? Nope. Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, I know we have a lot to talk about, but like as far as anything else among the 6 of us that need to be discussed right now. About the trip going to Colorado, Ari, what are you kind of almost requiring for that, based on what Brandon shared about his visit?
Mhm.
Right. Brandon, is that happening separately from what we were looking at in July, first, like the July 4th weekend? Or is just like first you got to go in there to look at the greenhouse and other things that you're looking into?
No, that will be all the same trip. Like I said, I now have a flight scheduled for Phoenix, June 27th. I'll be there for 2 or 3 days. You guys may see me show up in one of my work trucks. I'll be working on it, hitting the road with it. I have several things still sitting in Phoenix. But if the family can join me, I think everybody would join me around the 2nd or 3rd. So we would be there for the time we had talked about. And then we plan to be there for a few days, get as many notes together as I need to, evaluate and measure and estimate, etc. So that's the schedule for me, to be at Tina's probably 2nd or 3rd of July, and for several days.
You have 3. How many do you all have, kids, and who's all coming? Just so I can...
If you ask our friends and family, we got hundreds, but we have 3 daughters.
Oh, nice. Okay.
One will be visiting with a friend who's also taking a trip to Colorado, so they'll be about 2 hours away from us. So if Leah comes, she would be coming with 2 of our daughters, so it would just be 4 of us staying there. There's a possibility that at the end of Nyla's visit with her friend, she would come on like the 8th or 9th for a day or 2, and we take off.
Okay. And how about you, Aribato? Who of your family are coming?
Right. I still have to speak to my wife about that trip.
Okay. Okay, cool. So, and understand, I do have an extra full bed. I have an extra single bed, and then a pretty much in an empty 2-room apartment and a room downstairs that will be available, but none of that is furnished. So just so you know. And there's camping spots too. So it just depends on how you want to approach it, but it'll be clean, but not furnished. Okay, cool. Plenty of cooking utensils.
Is there anything else?
No, exciting.
All right, Tina, you want to close it out?
Sure. Wow, the universe has conspired to bring us together. I don't know. I guess I want to close with gratitude too, if that's okay. I am grateful that I get to go to the hot springs tonight. Okay. Letty, how about, or Leah, how about you? Or Letty, yeah, Letty, how about you?
Yeah, gratitude. So I'm super grateful because we have a heat wave here, but now I see the air. So it's like I'm grateful for nature. Yes, providing some refuge right now for me. Yeah.
I'm grateful we have more time before the foreclosure is going to happen. I was stressed about that. So a couple weeks makes a big difference, and I'm feeling good about this, that it will actually work. So yeah. Neil.
I'm grateful we kind of have, not that I understand it better, we have a kind of a micro, kind of a complementary team that fits, you know, the earth, fire, wind, water, ether kind of a subset of skills. So I'm grateful we are complementary. And I pass it on to Ari.
I am grateful to all the serious movers and shakers over here in the group that is making my ride smooth along the way. So I will go ahead and pass it on to Brandon.
Thank you. I appreciate us moving forward and appreciating each other's abilities and seeing how professionally we can communicate, how well we can handle this stuff. It's new, it's challenging, but everybody's handling it with grace. And I've also seen anytime there's a moment where there's the emotional response occurs, we're all able to look at that in a bigger way and hold each other, hold space for it, allow it to do what it's got to do, and move forward and grow from it. So I'm very appreciative that we're working with intelligent, capable, caring people. And thank you all.